Hello, this is the LEGO Architecture United States Capitol building set, and it is by far the largest LEGO Architecture series set that I personally have purchased and built. It was a very good building experience. This measures 17.5 inches approximately wide, or 44.5 centimeters, and if you compare it to a minifigure, yeah, that is very substantial compared to kind of the average size for these sets. They have done some large architecture series sets before. It's been a while since they've brought out something new of a larger size, and I feel like this is worth doing in this size, and I hope that they'll be doing some more larger ones for a while. As you can very clearly and immediately see, this uses a ton of headlight bricks, which are oriented, some facing towards you, some facing away from you. Now, it does take some time for sure to line those up. I have not lined them all up perfectly myself, but you definitely want to put at least some patience into it, otherwise it will not look good. But the building experience, beyond lining up all of those, was actually pretty good and pretty enjoyable. It made sense along the way. There's a lot of depth in there with multiple rows of columns. Got the telescope pieces used at the ends to make up a little extra length as needed. There's detailing around the sides. These represent the archways that go underneath the major stairways. It's not a perfect representation. I personally probably would have liked to see that buried just a little bit farther underneath, but there are a lot of considerations that go into this. This at first bugged me that it looked kind of tiered, the main staircase at the center, but the real thing is actually tiered. It's not all continuous. You know, we've got a couple of landings along the way, so that's actually pretty well done. And the big dome is nicely done as well. Of course, at this scale, they were not able to put in the number of details and the amount of texture that's really required. They just don't have pieces small enough for that. Up at the top is a representation of the Statue of Freedom, which of course is facing away from you. It's all gray here. That's a bronze statue, which tends to get a greenish tinge to it. They kind of had to choose between this gray, the dark bluish gray, and the sand green that they use for a lot of the elements around the roof here. And personally, I think that they made the right choice. You know, when that thing is fully treated, when it's in good shape, it definitely looks more dark and more grayish than greenish. Only when it starts to get age and starts to kind of decay a bit is when it starts to get more greenish. And I think that this just looks best relative to the whole thing. This actually has a nice secret to it, which I'll show you in a minute. I do want you to see what this looks like from the back. It's not intended to be displayed from the back, but at least this shows you that it is covered up properly. You know, it's not hollow along the back, and we have just a little bit of shaping back here. In many places throughout this build, they put a headlight brick, the front of a headlight brick, up against a Technic brick with a single Technic hole in it. And you know, if you're familiar with Lego building techniques and the peculiarities of Lego pieces, you know that that stud on the side of the 1x1 brick with recessed stud on the side, the headlight brick, does not line up perfectly with a Technic brick's hole. They can fit together, and also the same thing happens when you have just a regular brick with a single stud on the top. They do not line up correctly. However, there is enough room for this right here to be a legal technique, because there's a little extra ridge around the inside of the Technic brick and its hole. So that actually works, and they use that, like I said, a number of times. You can see it used 2 times right here, but it's used throughout the construction here. It's decently solid. You know, most of the solidness is around the edges, but these large roof assemblies, actually sub-assemblies, are fairly hollow in the center. There is a plate underneath of there, but there is enough structure holding everything up that nothing feels like it's going to bow in the center. And I'm also very happy that the base of this ended up falling pretty flat. They use short enough pieces to keep everything together. I do want to show you what this looks like from the underside, so you can see just how many plates this is built with. This is actually a challenge when building things in Lego to make such a long surface area of plates and to get them to not bow. They normally want to bow away from you or up towards the studded side, but they use narrow enough pieces and enough of them, and things are kind of allowed to flex and relax for a while until you get up to a higher level of the build. So there's a lot of stuff that actually went into this, and you see, looking down there, look at how straight that is. That is phenomenal. That is actually very difficult to pull off, especially when you have a floor that is as thin as this. So I do want to acknowledge that bit of effort that went into this and that challenge that was solved with this build. Now you may have seen the whole dome area started to kind of flex there and come off. Well, it's actually intended. It's actually designed to come off, and that's the secret part that I wanted to show you on the inside. You see, this actually has some interior detail with a representation of the statuary hall there. It doesn't have all the statues by any means, but they do have some representations of different ones in two major colors. And as far as I'm concerned, they can keep coming up with these nano figure pieces forever. Just keep coming up with different colors. Here we have white and the dark bluish gray, which was also used for the Statue of Freedom up on the top. And I think those are great. I especially want to get more of the gray ones. This particular set includes one extra gray one and two extra white ones in here. So that's always a nice little bonus to get something extra. I like how it's kind of dark towards the inside of there. So just the way that the light is prevented from entering. I think if you look back there just a little bit, you start to see where some light starts to come through just a bit through the bricks. But I think this is done pretty nicely. Again, another area where you need to be pretty, you need to exercise some patience and do some alignment with the 1x1 tiles, and also some of these are plates in order to hold the figures in place. But a really nice, kind of unexpected thing to actually be able to get in there and see part of the interior by removing this entire sub-assembly here, which I think looks pretty good and is shaped up pretty well with the combination of fully round circular curved plates, and also the ones that are half curved and have little flat facets on the sides. Just different sizes, slightly different shapes. It gets the point across, gets the general idea across, I think, as well as is possible. So I really think the main Lego designer for this set did a very good job with it. It's more difficult to build this and to design it in a way that can be reproduced by regular consumers than it appears, for sure. And I think that the scaling, the proportions are good. The building techniques are good, better than I'd say baseline, better than needs to be. And I'm just happy with the whole thing. It's a lot of pieces, but there is a lot of repetition that didn't feel too annoying to me. I don't like to repeat things a lot, but this didn't have too many places where I needed to repeat things in a way that just bugged me. Just make sure that if you do get a set like this, that you have a very hard and completely flat building surface, so that when you need to line things up, you can do so, such as when you are stacking these headlight bricks facing away from you and towards you. Those actually are assembled onto the model in pairs with one above and one below pre-attached, so you want to be able to just put those onto a completely flat surface, get them to be perfectly aligned before you attach them. And that'll just help you out a ton. If you have anything about this that you would like to add or say, please do feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks for watching.